Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our call today. We are going to have our Zoom makeover. Before we get started, we're just going to pause for a few minutes and let people log in. Again, this is the Education and Events Committee's Zoom makeover, and we're super excited to have you with us. Stay tuned. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to SFAR's Education and Events Committee Zoom Makeover. So thank you for tuning in. We have a great guest today. She'll be speaking on, putting your brand and image together over Zoom. I'm going to go ahead and introduce her as we get started here. Shelley Golden is an international personal branding image consultant, fashion stylist, costume designer for theater, costume historian, and certified color consultant with over 20 years of experience in the US, Europe, and the Middle East. She is fourth generation in fashion clothing business and owner of Shelley Golden Style. As a result of COVID-19, Shelley created the Zoom Makeover, a 5-step process to help up-level your screen presence, as well as that of your employees, team members, to create a more professional image that says a statement about who you are and the organization you represent. She combines her fashion knowledge with her intensive study of European art during the 10 years she lived in Amsterdam to create an interactive, non-distracting online screen presence. Shelley is passionate about helping you create and maintain a powerful personal brand and unique style to boost your confidence and gain more respect by attracting the people you want into your life, professionally, socially, and both in person and online. Just a reminder as we get started with our Zoom makeover today, that questions will be asked through the Q&A box. They will be answered at the end. And you guys have a great session today. And thanks for tuning in. Shelley?
Okay. Hi, everybody. So great to be here, San Francisco Association of Realtors. I am Shelley Golden, as Patrick introduced me, and I'm going to share my screen with you. I have a presentation that we're going to go through, and I just so you could see what I'm doing and how I'm doing what I'm doing. Then I'll take some questions, and then I have actually 2 volunteers that in real time I'm going to show you like little things that I do and how to up-level your screen presence with the 2 volunteers that I have. So let me start off by sharing my screen, and I need to be enabled. So Genevieve, if you could do that, that would be great. I apologize to everybody that this wasn't done before. I still need to be enabled to share my screen. Okay. So let's see here. Okay, so this is me. The name of my company is Shelley Golden Style. I'm a personal branding image consultant, and I literally have pivoted my business in the middle of March to helping people look great and feeling confident in person, to helping them look great, feel confident online with their screen presence. And it seems to have been a very natural progression for me. And so I'm going to go through what I have been working on and to help you up-level your screen presence on Zoom, whether you're using Zoom or Skype or Teams or Blue Jeans or WebEx, it's all the same. It's really how you present yourself and how people view you and how they relate to you. So this is an example of the magic that I do. So this is an individual one-on-one consultation that I had with this woman. She's an executive at a vice president at Intel. And this is a 90-minute session. And you could see in real time, we changed the camera angle. The glare of the window's gone. Her skin tone looks more natural. She looks more relatable. She looks like she's talking to you as opposed to, you know, she's just in there in the glare. And so I'm going to show you the steps that I've gone through to get there and give you tips and tricks to help you improve your screen presence so you're more relatable, more presentable, more approachable. So the first thing is you want to really ask, how do you want to show up? And of course, you want to show up as professional as possible. That's really the aim here. You want to put your mindset in a frame that, okay, I'm on Zoom, I'm not in person, and it is different. I've come up with a 5-step process to what I call the Zoom makeover. And I'm going to show you the steps, and then we're going to go through them step by step. So the first step that I go through in the process is camera angle. Just so you're looking straight on into somebody's eyes. Then lighting. And lighting is actually the very first thing everybody notices when they're looking at you in your box. Are you in the dark? Are you in the light? And so I have tips and tricks that I'm going to share with you. Then background. That's the second thing everybody notices. You notice when somebody has a virtual background. You notice when somebody's in their laundry room. You notice when they're in their kitchen. You notice these things. Then clothing. And it's really what clothing color looks best on you in your space. And we'll talk about that as well. And then lastly, for women, makeup, because we're attempting to create a 3-dimensional look on a 2-dimensional surface. So when I started sitting, middle of March, we're sheltered in place, and I'm used to going out and about doing what I do. And now all of a sudden I was relegated to sitting at a computer. My body was really hurting. Besides the fact I have a 25-year traumatic neck injury. And so I really like to share this slide with you to show you how to ergonomically sit at a computer. So you can see everything's at right angles, your elbows, your hips, your knees. But what I want to draw your attention to is the dotted line between the eye and the camera. That's the most important thing. Note that it's straight, it's an even line. It keeps your neck in the best possible position. And so that's the first thing that I like to work on. So this image, I actually was a screen grab that I just saw online, and I thought, wow, this really shows everybody in their best light. And you can see everybody, and I'm just going to point out a couple of features why this caught my eye and why this looks so appealing. A couple of things, not necessarily in order. One, notice that everybody's eyes are for the most part, are in the top third of the box. And I'm going to refer to the box because we're all in a box these days. Everybody's eyes are in the top third. For the most part, they all have a tiny bit of space over their head. We're going to talk about that as well. So you're looking straight on into the camera. There's a little bit of space over their head. The lighting on their face is even left and right. So it's not distracting. It doesn't look like they have light coming in from a window on one side and the other side of their face is dark. That's the most important thing, that you could actually see some of these people's eye color. So that helps you be more relatable, more believable. It's a more intimate online relationship, which is really what we're all aiming for. And lastly, the one thing I want you to notice is that at the bottom of the box, for the most part, again, the bottom line is at their armpits. And that feels to be a good place to be, because then they could see your personality and a little bit of nonverbal communication. So let's go through some of the 5 steps. So the first one is camera angle. And take note of this woman, because I'm going to actually show you what I did with her. So again, you could tell she's looking down, but what you really see is the ceiling. You don't want to see people's ceilings, because then sometimes you're looking under their chin, up their nose, you know, it's just a little like uncomfortable. It doesn't feel natural. You wouldn't be sitting like that if you were with them. So here's another example of looking down at a computer. And I was at sitting in a meeting with this man, and I have to tell you, it was really uncomfortable looking up his nose. You know, it's not really the angle doesn't feel comfortable. Conversely, you don't want to be looking on top of anyone's head down at their floor. So this is why it's really important to have the camera angle straight on, especially for women right now who can't get their hair dyed and their gray is coming through. You don't want to see their stump line, but you don't want to see the mess that people have on their floor. Keep the camera angle straight on. Okay, step 2 is lighting. And as I said, this is the most important part. This is the one thing people see right away as soon as they get on the call from you. You want the lighting to come from the front, not necessarily only from your computer, but you want the lighting from the front. And if it comes from the side, you need to augment it. And I'm going to show you some tips and ideas on how to do that. What you really don't want is you don't want to be in a room that appears to be dark. And sometimes the rooms appear to be dark even though they're not. And you don't want the light only coming from the computer. It just feels eerie, you know? And if you're on a call with this woman for an hour, emotionally it would be exhausting just to have this kind of eerie computer light. Another thing that you need to be aware of is sitting with a window behind you. You don't want to have a window directly behind you. So I was working with this woman. I have workshops that I have like group workshops, and she was in one of my group workshops. And this is how she started off. And even though she said, okay, I've tried the blinds up, I've tried the blinds down, this is how it works out. But what you can't see is that she has a bright green sweater on. And one of the things is she was going to be putting up a screen, like something behind her with her business logo. And I told her to jump on the next call, which looked like this. This is the same woman 24 hours later. She has her business logo behind her, but keep in mind, my suggestion to you, if this is something you're going to do, you don't want the logo, the writing centered on the screen. You want it over your left or right shoulder. But here you could see, now you could see her face. So this was the after we worked on her lighting, her clothing, makeup, and her background. This is another client that I work with. And again, you could look on the left and you can see it's bright daylight outside, but she's in the dark. And, you know, sitting on a call with this woman for an hour, it doesn't feel comfortable. And so I advised her, turn the light off behind you, turn the chandelier off, take the lamp that's behind you on the right, put it on your left in front of you to try to balance out a little bit more of the light that's coming in from the window. So you could actually see that she has a glare on her cheek, but if you bring the light to the other side, it'll at least give her a little more illumination. She's since ordered additional lighting to compensate. What is ideal is to have a window in front of you. This brings the most beautiful light. It's the most natural light. It also has the full spectrum of colors of light. So it's the best option on your face. But I understand not everybody has this possibility. So here are some lighting options that I recommend that my clients have ordered. So let me just draw your attention to the right-hand side. So if you look on the right, there's, this is a ring light, a very small ring light that has a clip. And I actually ordered one of these. I ordered the Ubi size brand, as shown on the bottom, but it also comes in a social light, that's the brand. But what I like about this is it has this very strong clip. You could clip it to your computer. You can clip it to your monitor. You can clip it to your desk. You can clip it to different things depending upon where you are. If you need to take a call in your car, you can just put your iPhone in the clip as well. It has a warm, a neutral, and a cool light, so you can change the color of your skin depending upon the light that's around you. I mean, quite often the computer will give off bluish light, so the warm light balances out the bluish cast on your face. And if you look on the left side, it's a larger ring light on a tripod. Not that you're going to be ordering this, but just as an FYI, the small light also comes on a desk size tripod. So this is the image of the tripod with the small lights. And these are in the middle. I have two brands that have almost the same items. So Socialite, so sociallightlighting.com. And if you go on Amazon, the Ubi size, they have that brand, as well as Socialite. This is another light that you can also purchase. This is by Loom Cube, and it's the advantage of this is it has a suction cup that you could just suction onto your computer. This is actually $69. The light from the previous page, depending upon which brand, is between like $25 and $35. So there's a little bit of a price difference. This is a more intense light. You could see that if you look at the image on the right, you could see the spotlight on her face, which I don't really care for. This also comes with a cover, so you could diffuse the light so it doesn't, so the light still comes through, but it doesn't feel quite like a spotlight on your face. I also have been talking to a lot of people who have ordered these little clip-on lights, which I ordered as well. And honestly, I don't think they work, but I just want to let you know it gives off very, very little light. And I ordered two different brands. I really didn't think it was valuable for the money, even though they're like $5 or $10. So this is my light that I actually have on my right, and I'll show you what this does. So this is one of my favorite hacks. So if you look on the right, there's no paper, but there's no light on that comes through there. So because this is a single color light and it's kind of a white, bluish, whitish light, and again, it feels like a spotlight, I put fuchsia and yellow Post-its, and I move them around during the day, and sometimes I have two pinks, or sometimes I'll have two yellows and a pink, and I can overlap them a little bit. I put this on the light to diffuse the color of the light to help my skin tone look more natural. And you could do this with colored paper on windows. You could do this on lights. You could put colored fabric over a light as well. And usually pinky, peachy yellow is the best color to do that. And it just softens the light. It makes you look less gray, less blue, and just gives you a little more pink in your cheeks, which is really nice. It makes a huge, huge difference. So here I was just gonna show you back to my client with this before and after. So let me just show you, now that we've talked about a couple of my little tips. So the window on the far right-hand side, so you can see in the before, there's so much glare coming from that window. So what we did to eliminate that is we put 3 pieces of printer paper together, and she taped it in the window. And the reason we use white is because now the light coming through that window looks like the same color as the light coming through the window behind her. So it doesn't look like there's paper in the window. But what you don't see is that there's a third window directly in front of her, the same high, small window. And in that window, she had some light pink construction paper. So if you look at her skin tone looks a little pinkier, a little rosier, a little more natural. And as opposed to, we've eliminated the kind of monochromatic. It looks more natural. She also ordered one of the clip-on lights that I showed you. So she put the clip-on light on her right-hand side, which you could almost see there's a little more yellow on her right cheek, but it balances out the light that's still coming from the window on her left. And so at least you could see her face. She looks more approachable. The color looks more natural. We also cleaned up that little file cabinet behind her because it was a mess. She actually put some flowers in the vase. We went in her closet. We figured out what color works for her in her space. And we also talked about makeup, and that's part of my process. This is another makeover that I did with a client. So this woman is actually a dietitian at a hospital. And just to show you some of the steps that we went through, you could see the camera angle, she's looking in the camera. The lighting, it's not even on her face, but we were working on that. But you could at least see her face a little bit better. The window that's behind her, which she told me got a lot more sun in the late afternoon, and I'm like, we have to cover up the window somehow. Luck had it, she happened to have this painting that fit perfectly in her windowsill, which was, it was kind of a mind blow to me, but it fit perfectly in the windowsill. It worked with the room. And so what we did then is we got rid of some of the smaller, darker brown furniture, moved it out of the visual. We took the big brown leather chair that's behind her, moved it over and upholstered it with the backside of a duvet cover that she happened to have. Luck had it, it's the same color green as in the painting. So it really looks like a thought out, redesigned office that she could speak to her patients. In the meantime, we threw a pillow on the chair, we straightened out the bookshelf. Word of warning, word of advice, should I say. If you have a bookshelf in your view, behind you, beside you, you want all of your books to be vertical. You don't want some vertical, some horizontal, some leaning to the left, leaning to the right. Our eyes are used to seeing books in a vertical position. They become benign, and it doesn't matter what type of book they are, but they become benign and just part of the landscape, so to speak. So step 3, let's talk about backgrounds. What does your background say about you? Are you in your office? Are you in your bedroom? Are you in your kitchen? What does it say about you? You don't want it to be distracting like this background is distracting, unless he was talking about, I don't know, it feels very Asian to me. And so depending upon what background you have, you want it to tell a story about who you are. So this is a bit of the distracting background. When I got on this call with this woman, I was looking on the right and like, what are those? Are they maps? Are they posters? Are they kids' art? I couldn't really tell. And I could see the calendar and like, oh, let's see, is that our marketing calendar? It's, I found it a little bit distracting. The light on her face was even, and the color of the wall is fine. She's actually since repositioned herself in her office, and it feels better. It's nicer, it's calmer. So when I'm working with clients, I'm helping them come up with a nice background. One of the things I advise is to have a plant or some flowers. It softens the background. So this is actually, I got this image off the web, but I thought it showed the plants as I really want them. You just want a little bit of greenery, a little bit of flower. You don't want to have it consuming because it feels nice. If you go to a restaurant and you are meeting people at a restaurant, a cafe, you would go to someplace that had a really nice ambiance. So this was a client that I worked with just the other day, and we created some looks with the plants that made it look softer, and we were rotating them. And the one thing that I wanted to point out here is the plant that's next to the window. We actually rotated it so the taller part of the plant is closer to him and the shorter plant closer to the window. And we moved it, we angled the chair and put this orchid on a file cabinet. We kind of redecorated the room. But what it does, if you look, it acts like an arrow toward his face. So the plant next to the window starts low, becomes high, and is angled. It's a trajectory right to his eyes. And same thing with the plant on the other side. If you take the plant and angle it toward his eyes, it acts as a bullseye. And so it helps you focus on your client, on the person that you're looking at. And that's what I'm aiming to do. Here's another example of just some plants, how they soften the look. You don't have to have the full plant in view. You could have a partial plant, a little bit of the plant or a flower, just to give it a little bit of softness. And for, make sure you clean up your messes. Nobody wants to see your mess. It's not professional. Here's just another example of a little bit of a softness of a plant, but also the background is benign. Even though she's sitting in her kitchen, the light on her face is the focus. And you can bullseye, you can focus right in on her face because the lighting is ideal on her face and the background is not distracting. There's nothing in the background that's taking your eye away from her. This is another example of a background that works, even though there's things in the background. But what I want to take your attention to is when I lived in Amsterdam, I lived in Amsterdam for 10 years. And one of the things I did is I studied European art, in particular the Dutch masters. And artists often have lines of perspective, and it helps them have intersecting lines so they know where their points of interest will be, their focus points. And I just want to take you kind of on a little journey on this particular slide. If you look on the left, on the top of the shade, you see the shade, the lamp shade. It's very subliminal, but you know that it's there. And it's adding light on her cheek. But if you take an imaginary line from the top of the shade all the way diagonally down to the right-hand side of the slide, you have these black and white slides, which you also see subliminally because they're blurry, but you've got this diagonal line, and right in the middle of that line are her eyes. And so you focus, it helps you focus in on her eyes, even though she has this mirror behind her. It acts as a bullseye to bring your attention to her eyes, to her mouth. And that's what you want. You want people to be looking at you and not be distracted with the background. I'm not a big fan of wearing black and white, but in this sense, it works because her hair is pulled back and the focus is really on her face. So step 4, speaking of black and white clothing, again, as I say, I really dissuade people from wearing black and white. Why? Even though like a large percentage of most people's wardrobe, me included, is black. The camera on your phone, on your laptop, on your monitor, these cameras pick up light and dark. White comes to the foreground, black recedes to the background. And if you want to be noticed, you don't want to wear black. And white can just be too harsh. It's just a little bit too much. And I advise not to wear it. Although this is an example of why I think this particular black and white outfit works. And I'm going to just walk you through it. Okay, the first thing you see when you look at this slide is the white collar. Again, the white jumps out into the foreground. So you see the white collar, but the white collar is the same color white as her teeth. So now it's drawing you up from the collar to her teeth and then up again to the whites of her eyes. So it's acting as almost like a suction. Look at me right here. And the background, again, is benign. There's nothing really distracting, but that white is acting as a bullseye to help you focus in on her face so that when she's speaking to you, you're speaking to her, you have a bullseye and you can relate to her because you're being focused as where to look, where to focus your eyes. And it also helps you feel that you're more intimate with her, as though you're sitting at the same table. That's the aim here. Whether, when we're talking about lighting, background, clothing, you want to feel like you're all sitting at the same table, at the same height at the table, because that's what we're used to. So that's the aim. So my suggestion to you is to wear solid colors. And the reason I suggest wearing solid colors is because we are no longer just us in the same room with other people, where you can look at somebody from head to toe what they're wearing. Right now, they are in a box, they are in a painting. Think of it that way. And if they are part of the pattern, if they are wearing this solid color block, they will be front and center, and it's the largest color block that your eye will be attracted to. So that's why I'm a big advocate to wear solid colors. For women, just because patterns are so prominent, and guys too, pattern shirts, it could be a small pattern, but you don't want to have a large pattern because then you're going to just be another pattern in your box, including the plants, the background, the furniture behind you. It's all part of the pattern. So I'm back to this client that I worked with just the other day. And I thought this was a pretty clear example of, I just want to bring your attention to his clothing. So he was actually, this was his before picture when we started off. He was wearing a navy blue blazer. He's a financial advisor in San Francisco. And he kind of recedes to the background. You could see his face and you could see the bookshelf. That's what stands out, his face and the not so overly neat bookshelf. But in the after picture, we discussed, he actually was going to add more books to the levels, and we redesigned the top part of the bookshelf. We actually moved the chair around and changed some things, but the color of his jacket helps you focus in on him because that color pops. So you can now focus in on his face in this color blue, and you can read him. You can read his body language. You can read his, his overt gestures and his subliminal gestures. And you can focus on him as opposed to him receding to the background and only being a face. He's now a whole torso that you can zoom in and focus on. So this is, just a very busy pattern. It's way too distracting, even though it's fashionable right now for women to wear printed dresses and printed blouses. It's too busy and it's distracting. So step 5, the last part for women is makeup. So I'll just kind of breeze through this quickly. If anybody has any questions, I'm also happy to speak afterwards. Okay, makeup. You want to have a bullseye. So there's a couple of points on your face that you want to focus on. You want to have your eyebrows and your lips is the top and bottom of your frame, because that's the bullseye. Whether you have glasses, darker rimmed glasses will do the trick as well. Also, to create the illusion of a 3-dimensional space, I put a little bit of dark, whether it's a blush and contour under your cheekbone and under your chin. but I'm not going to elaborate on that quite right now. So these are Zoom makeovers. This is what I'm working with people, and I have 3 ways that I'm working with people that I wanted to share with you. So as I mentioned, I do individual sessions. It's a 90-minute session. It's $250, and we go through all these steps in real time. And you could see some of the before and afters that I've worked with people. So it's very impactful, especially if you are trying to impress people, you know, with multi-million-dollar homes, or less than that. I also have corporate group trainings and presentations as similar to this. So if with your organization you would be interested in a presentation, I'm happy to speak with you about this. I also have what I call Zoom makeover workshops. It's a 90-minute workshop. There's a maximum of 10 people. It's very inexpensive. And I have 3 coming up in the next month. So it's not quite as focused on you, because I have to you have to share me with other people. But I have one coming up today, actually at 2 o'clock. So they're all at 2 o'clock. Today at 2 o'clock. I have another one on August 3rd, and I have another one on August 12th. If you want to take a screenshot of this page, excuse me, feel free to take a screenshot. It has the information. It also has my email address and my website. If you want to contact me, I'm happy to talk to you about any of these different ways that I could help you, your colleagues, your team members, to up-level the way you look on your online screen presence. And just kind of in closing, the Zoom makeovers, they really help create a statement about who you are and the organization that you represent. You know, you want to look your best, feel more confident, and gain greater respect with the people that you're speaking with. And just very quickly, this last Zoom makeover, you can see we changed the art, we changed the vase, we closed the windows, changed the camera angle, and she's more presentable. You're looking in her eyes, and she's more approachable. So I thank you very much, Shelley Golden Style, and happy to contact me. Feel free to contact me. I'm happy to speak with anybody. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. And let's see, do we have any questions that I can answer? Let's see. Patrick, were there any questions? Let's see. How to keep camera angle straight when webcam is on. If you're going to be using a webcam, I would highly suggest really just trying to do your best. You might need to like tilt the whole screen, the whole camera. You know, you really want to be straight. You might want to even get like kind of like one of these little tripods, you know, that have legs that move, and so you can angle it in different ways.
Hi, Shelley.
Patrick?
Couple questions. Sorry, I was trying to get into a place with ability to see my screen, so I wasn't being unprofessional myself. So a couple questions have come in. First one, how can you see yourself on the screen when you're not on the Zoom call? So is there like a program or something that you can you know, look at yourself to kind of mirror the image that's on your camera?
Yep. You could actually, if you have a Zoom account, which you can get a free Zoom account, you could actually just go on your Zoom account and as though you're having a meeting with somebody, and then you get to see yourself. And that's the best way to do it. I actually have clients that they literally put their makeup on while on their Zoom camera. But you could literally, as though you're going to be on a call, you you set up the call, click on it, and you can see yourself. And that's the best way to look at yourself.
Excellent. All right. Next question.
All right. I do see. I was just kind of eyeballing it, Patrick. Somebody asked about different skin tones need different lighting, and somebody asked, I have large windows behind me and in front of me. How best to work it? So, first of all, the large window behind you, you need to address that, because that will change the lighting in the room. It'll change the lighting on your face. If you could somehow block the light that's coming from the lighting behind you, because it'll make you look dark. So that's really important. And if you have large windows in front of you, again, I kind of gave you tricks. Maybe you could put paper. Maybe you could put, if there's blinds, you might want to play with the curtains or blinds, maybe halfway up, halfway open. You know, so these are different ways that you can regulate the light that's coming in by putting paper, by draping fabric over it. Additionally, dark-skinned women want a little bit of makeup with a little bit of iridescence, whereas light-skinned women want no iridescence, no shine, no lip gloss, no pearlescence. So that'll help create light and dark and help with different skin tones.
Excellent. Okay, so next question. How to keep a camera angle straight on a webcam when it's on top of the screen? I can't necessarily put the camera in the center of the screen. It's more like a mounting question, I think, about where you mount your camera.
Yeah, I'm not, that's actually not something that I can ideally answer.
Got it.
I think that's a camera specific question.
Understood. Lynn asked if this presentation will be recorded. It is being recorded, and it will be on the Zoom, on our Zoom and video library. If someone's going to reach out and use your services, should they get lights before they contact you, or wait to talk to you to get recommendations?
I would definitely wait to talk to me for recommendations, because I have different lights depending upon how strong of a light you need, or what your particular needs are.
And then there's a follow-up question. And a follow-up question to that. And what's the trick on looking directly at the camera and talking?
Oh, I have a great trick. Can people see me? Yes. All right. So this is my trick du jour. So I have this little tiny yellow Post-it, and I put a little happy face on it. I don't have to have a happy face. And I put this little bright yellow piece of Post-it right next to my camera, so that when I'm speaking, I'm looking at my little happy face Post-it. It helps me. It's like a bullseye. I know where to look, because on my monitor, my camera is in a black frame around the edge, and it just disappears. So this way, if I have a bullseye, whether you could put a little piece of paper, you could put a photograph, but sometimes if it's small, it helps you really focus. And if it's a little bit larger, people are going to see your eyes move from left to right or top to bottom. And that little piece acts as a bullseye. And so that's my tip du jour.
Excellent. A simple, easy,
yep,
great trick. I like it. How can you see, oh, sorry, we already answered that one. Sorry, do you recommend Zoom backgrounds?
Okay. Virtual backgrounds, I'm assuming, is the question. And I'll answer this, and then I think we have some volunteers that we're going to help upgrade in real time. So virtual backgrounds are, sometimes people need them, sometimes people don't. Sometimes people just like to play with them. Personally, I find them a little bit distracting unless it's a realistic looking background. Because sometimes people have palm trees fluttering and they're on the beach, it looks like there's a beach scene, or wherever they are in the world. Sometimes I find it distracting because you're looking at the scene, especially if they sometimes change it in the middle of the meeting, and you're not focusing on them. And the whole idea is that people focus on you and that they can zoom in on you and what you're saying. And it's more intimate. Whereas sometimes you might need to have a virtual background, depending upon where you are. If you order a green screen, it helps when people's hair, kind of growing, and you have a little, you have a halo around the person. The green screen eliminates that. Excuse me. If you are going to have a realistic photo, my advice to you is to have you want to make sure that the perspective is even. I was working with a gentleman, and when he got on the call, he had this beautiful virtual background of a beautiful living room with Italian sofas, and it looked great with this beautiful picture window, but it looked like he was sitting on the floor. So the perspective was all wrong. So at least when you have the perspective straight on, it feels natural, it feels more comfortable, it's less distracting.
Excellent, thank you. And I think our volunteers are ready if you want to call them in one at a time.
Okay, so let's do Matthew first. You want to jump back on? Hi, Matthew.
Hey there, Shelley. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
So, all right, just so everybody knows, truth be told, Matthew and I had a quick call last week, so I know what his office looks like, and we have some recommendations. I have recommendations. So when you look at Matthew, he's wearing a white shirt in a white office with a white background. The lighting on his face is not very good, and it's hard to focus on him. The first thing you actually see is the lamp, because it's really, the light is reflecting back to the camera. And so one of the things that Matthew and I discussed was moving. At first I suggested maybe he could put some art on the wall just to give a little bit of interest and give a little bit of dimension, because you almost would look at him and say, is he in a virtual background? You wouldn't quite know. So we looked around his office and we found a better place. So if you take a look at him before, and Matthew, you want to swing over on the other side of the desk. So notice the lighting, it was just kind of plain. And now, if you look at him, it feels nicer. So there is some art on the wall. There's some definition. There's a foreground, there's a midground, there's a background. And so this is an example. The lighting on his face is now better. You can actually see that he has light colored eyes. You can see the contours of his face. It's a more intimate look. So also the fact that the background, there's two parts of the background. There's the dark wood wall, which gives kind of a nice warm feel with some artwork behind it. And also there's the white wall. Now what I would do is I would take those flowers that's behind you, because I asked him to get flowers. So this is all pre-planned. And if you push those flowers closer to the edge of the desk along the wall, they will pop more. Yeah. So now you have some more color, and it's not really distracting, it's really adding to the ambiance. And it's easier to see him, and it's, especially as a realtor, you want a realtor to be in a warm, comfortable setting. And I feel, and Matthew also agreed, we thought that this was really more comfortable. for someone to look at him. And it's more approachable. It gives him more credibility. Let's see, questions, Matthew?
We also talked about shirt colors, so I did bring several as you asked me to.
Yes. Okay, so again, take note of the white shirt, and he's got the light wall, but take note of the colors, the lighting on his face as he puts up different colors next to his skin. The lighting on his face will change. So, okay. So if you have this plaid shirt, he's now a little bit more part of the print of the room because there's more things going on. And you don't necessarily focus on him, you focus more on his face. And the shirt gets lost a little bit, okay?
And now my favorite color.
Yes.
Pink.
So the pink actually, I think, is the best of the three. It feels softer. The light on his face, it actually adds a pinkier glow. The white isn't so harsh, and the white sucks up the camera. And so the light from the camera. And I think you were going to do a blue shirt.
Yeah, I got this one with a lot of pattern on it.
It's a lot of pattern, but it's small. So you can't, whereas the other one had a larger pattern. So this one is also works because it's a small pattern. And if somebody had to really look at the pattern, they'd have to really zoom in. So this one works as well. But when you wear something light, it also plays a tricks with the lighting. That's how the camera is showing you. And so, so I hope this gives people an idea of like how to get the wheels turning on how to create a more pleasant background that's softer, that's not harsh, that's really approachable. So awesome.
I had just one more tip before you.
Okay. Okay.
Put that on your door so people don't knock on it.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shelley. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, let's Genevieve. Okay, Genevieve. Hi, thanks for volunteering. So again, I truth be told, Genevieve and I were on a call last week, and we did a little pre-work, and you can see she actually bought some flowers, almost the same flowers that Matthew had. But when you look at Genevieve, the one thing that you truly notice is the light coming in from the window on her left. And there's no light on her face. But if I'm not mistaken, you have a window in front of you as well. Am I right?
No. This is the only window I have, yeah.
Okay, the only window you have. And can you close curtains?
I have a black shade. I don't know if that's gonna work.
Right. Down, 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 down. Okay, but you're wearing black. But even though now it's very black, I'm wondering if you can angle a little bit more so that the window is truly next to you. And I see that's a bed. All right, so here's my trick, and we didn't talk about this. So if you line up pillows on your bed, it'll look like a sofa.
Oh, you mean in the back?
Yeah, like if you have like colored throw pillows, not sleeping pillows, colored throw pillows, and you could put them not at the edge of the sofa, but kind of not at the edge, but like, yeah. You can make it look like a sofa.
Something like that?
Yeah. I would actually put them in back of each other, like stack them like toward the, yeah. And now it looks like that's the side of your sofa. You see? and it doesn't look like a bed. And that actually feels better. The lighting on your face is even. I would truly suggest getting additional lighting to add, but this way you don't have this harsh light that's coming in from the window. And I would ideally try to angle or get some of that black shade, the blind, out of the visual, if possible. Yeah, that's what I would do. And then you can move the pillows over a little bit more toward the middle of the bed. Again, try to make it look like the sofa that's sitting right, a chair or sofa behind you. And this actually feels better. That if you had an additional lighting on your face, and you would want to angle the lighting at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. If you had two lights angled in at you, and I feel that this looks better.
Okay.
So you've got the flowers over one shoulder, and you're not in the glare. Let's see. Do you have any questions?
No. No, I don't have any questions.
I kind of like the pillow trick. You might want to play with it, but you could see that now it doesn't really necessarily look like you're in your bedroom with your bed behind you.
Cool.
And you could put different colored pillows there as well. And if you're going to put plants and flowers, ideally you want them over your shoulder, to the left, to the right. It just adds a little softness, it just makes it a little bit nicer. And so, I'm good with this.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, any other questions? Let's see. Are there any questions on chat? I'm happy to.
Yeah, Shelley, I think everyone feels like it was a really helpful and great presentation. I don't see any other questions. The only other question I saw come through is that particularly on like camera work, say you're being positioned in front of a camera that's not a computer camera or a Zoom screen, do these same tools apply?
Yes. Absolutely.
If I was, filming a, infomercial or whatever, or something not on a computer screen or a Zoom.
Yep, the same tools, tricks, techniques apply. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because basically it's a two-dimensional surface, and you're trying to create realism. You're trying to create a three-dimensional illusion on a two-dimensional surface. And so it doesn't really matter what type of camera it is. It's all the same. And just for everyone to know, I put my contact information in the chat. If anybody wants to contact me, I feel free to call, text, email. I am amenable to talk to you and answer any questions. I hope this was valuable and informative. It's also to give you ideas of what you can do to up-level the way you look, the way you appear on screen, to be more believable, to also to have people think that you're actually more effective and efficient at what you do. And so I hope this was really great information.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
everybody for tuning in today.
Thank you so
Great
much.
call.
Thanks for having me. I'll stick around if anybody has any additional questions.